Welcome to Prima Donna News, where I'll be giving you all of my commentary regarding all of the trending topics that I find interesting. If you haven't already, make sure you check your notifications to make sure they're set on all. That way you're not missing any of my uploads. Make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't already.
I don't need like to get it poppin', but these bitches in my business cut me out to choosing violence. If you see me out in public, you don't know me, keep it silent. In the bedroom, I be screaming, but outside I keep it quiet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of supernatural conjuring they got going over there, but we're going to use this as a teachable moment as to why I personally don't believe a lot of these people who put these articles out, who contribute their stories to the media, who now utilize these YouTube platforms to so-called exercise their freedom of speech while thinking that they have the right to impede upon others. You see, the gag is these YouTube platforms don't uphold the same standards that so-called journalists should be abiding by. And that is the hypocrisy that I have with some of these contributors who are now on these platforms exposing why they're janky as hell from my perception. You see, contrary to popular belief, it also doesn't take people obviously teaming up to push certain propaganda. It doesn't take people lying and playing in the people's face to demonstrate freedom of speech. And most of all, it doesn't take all of these people ignoring the obvious hypocrisy that I put on display that has a lot of people gaslit into really thinking they're more relevant in these situations than they really are, when I could use the things that they put on public display as the perfect example.
The reason why the title is what it is because within the last 48 hours, an individual had issued 2 privacy complaints on my videos. As a journalist, I don't take that lightly.
Now, it just tickles me how these so-called journalists always want to throw around that term, being a journalist, but they don't want to throw around the behavior that's associated with being a journalist compared to a blogger, for example, or a janky-ass person trying to give theirself a facade that they're a trial vlogger given credentials by another janky-ass individual to pretend like they're covering cases knowing they very much can't read.
What you guys don't know is I've taken steps with my legal team to deal with that issue. But what we're going to do is there are videos that we have decided to remove, but we're placing on our official website. I didn't want to bring the websites in there or my other powerful outlets, but since that person wants attention, we're going to give that person attention. You don't get the opportunity to work behind a pseudonym or anonymous. If you're doing things that are illegal and go against, forget the YouTube, but go against the copyrights and First Amendment of the United States Constitution to harass other individuals, we are calling you out. We're not calling you out just by pseudonym. We're putting your name out there, and we're going to put the details out there in the patterns in which you've used to try to harass other people.
A perfect example of the demonstration I'm giving you now is how I feel about Jim Derogatis versus Tasha K. Now, obviously, if a lot of these so-called journalists can hide behind these so-called bloggers and people trying to mask themselves as though they're bloggers or trial vloggers, it should be no surprise why I looked at all of these individuals expose themselves, then try to reverse all of the information that they put out here on these platforms that showed me that they were full of shit. Especially when you hear individuals like this person try to manipulate the fact that if people want to use avatars or other personas, that doesn't mean it gives you the right to try to expose their personal lives, expose their personal identities just to prove whatever point you're trying to prove and or give commentary about on these YouTube streets. You see, when I notice this pattern of behavior behind all of these people who like to parade on these platforms together, then act like they don't know each other, clearly when they push the same messages and then make a fool of themselves on their own platforms, whose fault is it that people want to be gaslit because grown individuals can't accept the fact that nobody really cares about what they believe in? And those who spent years trying to force their beliefs onto the general public are the fools when they go and link up with these so-called journalists who want to exert their so-called authority and power, trying to threaten people by exposing their personal lives and personal affairs with malicious intent. It's one thing if a person wants to claim a privacy violation because you're violating their privacy. But then when you want to retaliate and start continuing to harass this individual and put out all of this other information on all of these different sites that you want credit for, it should be no surprise again why I said from the beginning, I don't trust none of these so-called journalists. I don't care what type of credentials they have when they come out here and expose themselves.
So you have called out a sleeping giant. I don't like to use my platforms to address certain things, but this is important because I'm a working journalist. The smoke is coming. The smoke is coming. So when you try to impugn on someone's reputation by antagonizing them or doing this extra stuff, it's done. We're dealing with you. You want to be famous? We're going to make you famous.
This don't seem crazy to y'all? All these people can get out here for years enabling people to expose people's personal lives. They can get on here and keep triggering people with their propaganda. They can keep bullying and harassing other individuals by putting out false information. But when you respond, when you drop receipts on them, then they want to come out and pull out the big guns. Ain't this about a bitch?
And you know, I work with some high-profile celebrities. If you don't know, you'll find out. And this is light work for us. Light work. Just make sure you have enough resources because we're coming for you. You don't work behind pseudonyms. You don't work behind anonymous names. Privacy is out the window. This is a public forum for people to be able to do content responsibly and legally.
I know he fucking lying. So is it responsible and legally formatable to come out here and throw out all of your conspiracies, but when you get a response, when you get a reaction, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. Well, it don't take a genius to recognize that if you want to take legal action against somebody, you ain't got to pull out no big guns, as they say. You ain't got to go run to no other platforms and utilize all this and that. You could just take them to court, right? The same type of shit people mad that are stirring the pot about this Dana and Sylvia situation. They got all these people feeling some type of way. Cause they confuse exactly why I move politely out the way and let these people do the shit they're doing right now to expose themselves so that people won't feel like what I'm doing is malicious because they do the talking for they damn self. I can't make this shit up.
So when you thought that was going to... I did one licensing this week. You will never see that kind of money. So you've harassed the wrong person. Stupid. As I said in the email, you're stupid. You're stupid.
Now, how stupid is it to always form this alliance on the internet with people pushing the same message? When people start to side-eye the individuals pushing the message, people got a problem. But then they could come out here and put the propaganda of a frog being squashed. They can keep trying to instigate and justify why people are crashing out on these platforms, but then they want to issue out these threats. Then they want to put out here and try to attack people's so-called livelihood, and people confuse why somebody like me didn't come to YouTube trying to make YouTube my job. Didn't come to YouTube having to go live and lie every damn day. And definitely ain't got to hide behind no avatar, considering the same shit they put on display they've done to me, and wonder why I say they're dumb. Now, when I say they, I don't specifically mean Dennis Byron or this person or that person. I mean exactly the people that individuals saw posting my kids, trying to post my location, all other kind of personal information, as this man is implying he's going to be pulling out and doing, when at the end of the day, If he has commentary to give on whatever it is he disapproves of, that's one matter. But to again start bringing out personal feelings, personal vendettas, because people have engulfed themselves so deeply in bullshit on these YouTube streets is ridiculous to a person like me who sat back all these years looking at all these people with the side eye and obviously presenting why I don't trust even these so-called journalists who contribute these stories to these media outlets.
You're stupid. And your thumbnails. Those thumbnails are Exhibit B. We have Exhibit A. Those are thumbnails are Exhibit B. So we have a story coming out today. One of my great writers are putting a story together. We're calling you out. We're calling your behavior out. And we're calling all those who acted in concert with you, even to attack other content creators. I didn't want to have to expose you. I didn't want to have to do this. But when you come after a reporter, a real reporter, you play one. I'm a real one. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. We're coming for you. Enough is enough.
Alright, Playboy. Just make sure whoever you come for, just make sure they ain't got no receipts. Just make sure they can't document all the shit that people like you and people that like to surround you have engaged in on these platforms, and then try to hide behind freedom of speech and all this other fugazi shit when they do shit with malicious intent, then try to play the victim and flip the script. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. That's why I documented it. You get it?
You could have hid behind your AI pictures. But that time is done. You can't hide behind the AI pictures, the fake contact, fake wigs, fake all the other stuff. We're exposing the fakeness and the harassment on our official channel.
What a shameless plug. Again, all these so-called journalists, they got to do the most to keep your attention.
And we get millions of views a month. So we're going to help your channel grow while you still have it. We're going to help your channel grow while you still have it.
Now, obviously, I just thought some of the people who keep confusing my position on this matter get a little insight to my thought process when I observe all of these different people, when I observe how they jump from platform to platform with the same bullshit, and why they get mad that I personally reserve the right to exercise my freedom of speech how I see fit. I document all the things that I feel validates my points. I focus on my points and my points alone, and I don't allow people to pull me out of character to demonstrate the malicious intent that they show you. What are your thoughts on how these people strategize on these platforms, considering another big point that I've made when people ask why people weren't defending R. Kelly, why people don't speak on this, why people don't speak on that? Well, I also put on public display exactly why people don't. Because obviously when you don't go along to get along with people, all these weirdos start popping up and try to change your perception or attack you for your observations. At the end of the day, everybody's not going to be bold enough to stand on what they believe. And I don't take the fact that people can issue out these threats, try to come for people's channels, and even team up with individuals who I put on display for hiding behind fake privacy claims after they consistently keep trying to provoke responses from me, then get mad at how I choose to respond. Cause I ain't Dana. Remember that.
Tantalizing moments with V is that versus some of the other girls, the amount of time V stayed in the relationship she had. Still, one thing you got to keep in mind though with him, everybody, although a lot of the treatment was what it was, but there were still different relationships and reasons why certain people interact with him, and the way he treated certain people weren't all, but that type of treatment was definitely.
Side note, didn't I tell y'all on my live what they out here doing? And the gag is, as I said, I don't even got to look at what they post or say, cause they gonna tell on themselves. So the point I made in my live that motherfuckers wanted to react to, clearly I said, Clearly, the people that would come forward and tell you that they had absolutely no intention to read the paperwork, then got goofy people in their chat talking about you shouldn't be reading the paperwork out loud, but didn't object to none of the shit that was put on public display while trying to chastise me for not publicly reading the paperwork, knowing that these agents knew very well people were reading the paperwork is the gag for me. So when it's all said and done, like I said, for those that sat back and engaged with these criminal-minded individuals that think they could give a rebuttal to anything I say, you batshit crazy to think I'm gonna entertain them at this point.
If he wasn't guilty, I don't think he would have been found guilty. That's just how I see it. They found him guilty. I mean, there's nothing I can say. It was proven in the court of law. And I hate to say that, but it was proven in the court of law. So, I mean, if that don't go through, he has to just accept the reality. Like, boom, this is what it is. You know, I mean, that's, even as supporters, we have to accept it. Like, I didn't convict him. You know, it was proven in the court of law. I mean, just like if he wasn't guilty, I don't think he would have been found guilty. That's just how I see it. And like I said, I can admit when I've been proven wrong. That's just bottom line. Like, I can admit, and that's why I was telling the truth. And some people in the chat, like, hey, I was proven wrong. I thought he was innocent. But a jury of 12 people thought otherwise, and they saw all the evidence and more than what I've seen, of course. And then the other thing, I think he was guilty of, like, if I had to just pick the two, that's tough. I would probably say if he wasn't guilty, I don't think he would have been found guilty. That's just how I see it.
John Russell is, from what I know, is someone that cares passionately about Mr. Kelly, and Mr. Kelly is aware of that.
The time has come for this cookie. Nom 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 nom. Oh, nom 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 nom. Ha. Bye bye.